When a nation of millions wins its freedom, how do you design its soul? In 1947, India stood at a historic crossroads. The founders weren't just writing laws, they were engineering a democratic blueprint from scratch. Welcome to a deep diagnostic look at the choice that shaped modern India, parliamentary versus presidential governance. Step back into 1947. The air is charged with independence, but the challenges are monumental. The Constituent Assembly inherited a landscape of vast multiculturalism, deep-seated social complexities, and nascent democratic institutions. Their central dilemma: how do you engineer a system that guarantees absolute representation for countless communities without completely sacrificing the structural ability to govern? In constitutional design, there is no perfect machine. Every choice comes with a core mechanical trade-off. If you balance the scale to a day-to-day accountability, you inherently risk long-term stability. If you anchor it firmly to rock-solid stability, accountability can drop out of reach. The parliamentary model chose accountability, the presidential model prioritized stability. Let's inspect Blueprint A, the presidential system. This structure is rigidly engineered for independence. Here, you see three completely separate pillars. The executive is entirely distinct from the legislature, with a directly elected leader serving as both the head of state and head of government. Because there is a physical gap, a total lack of collective responsibility, the executive holds a single, unified real power completely free from daily legislative control. Now look at Blueprint B, the parliamentary system. This model trades separation for deep interconnectedness, a fused powers model. The executive isn't a separate column, it is born directly out of the belly of the legislature. Power is split. A nominal head, like a president or monarch, handles ceremonial duties, while the real head, the prime minister, wields actual executive control. This system relies on daily control and collective responsibility. The executive survives only as long as it maintains the legislature's confidence. To accurately diagnose these structural operations, let's lay their mechanics side by side. Where the parliamentary model uses a dual executive, the presidential model uses a single real executive. While parliamentary powers are tightly fused, presidential branches remain completely distinct. This results in an executive that is either bound by strict collective responsibility and day-to-day control, or one that is highly independent and entirely free from daily legislative interference. Why choose the parliamentary model? The answer lies in its unique operational merits. When the gears of the legislature and executive interlock perfectly, you achieve internal harmony, virtually eliminating chronic gridlock between branches. A magnifying glass of supreme accountability applies constant daily pressure via questions and motions, checking autocratic tendencies. Furthermore, it fosters inclusive representation, allowing minority groups to form coalitions and protect their interests, supported by a structurally empowered active opposition. But the system isn't without friction. The costs of a parliamentary model show up inside the friction-heavy, coalition gearbox. This setup is highly vulnerable to chronic instability. A single no-confidence motion can collapse a government, triggering expensive, resource-draining elections. Decisions are routinely delayed by the constant grind for allied consent. It can restrict the administrative talent pool strictly to elected politicians, and leaves the door open for political opportunism, where localized issues can completely hijack broader national priorities. Switching focus to the presidential model reveals a completely different set of engineering merits. It operates like a sleek, self-contained machine. Because terms are fixed, it provides unhindered stability and steady policy continuity. The chief executive enjoys absolute freedom to build an expert administration, reaching far outside the political arena to pick specialized technocrats. Free from the burden of seeking constant legislative consensus, leaders can take rapid, decisive, unilateral action behind clear, protective operational boundaries. However, this stability carries dangerous structural risks. Without day-to-day legislative oversight, the presidential system can lean heavily into autocracy, giving rise to unchecked executive dominance. Its winner-takes-all design can easily exclude minority voices, leaving opposition factions completely marginalized. Worse, if an opposing political party wins control of the separate legislature, the two branches smash directly into one another, creating total, paralyzed institutional gridlock. Ultimately, we are left with a fundamental structural spectrum. You cannot maximize both ends. The identical mechanisms that build an efficient, stable presidential executive are the exact features that invite autocracy. On the flip side, the exact features that ensure thorough democratic accountability in a parliament are the very elements that spark political instability. Every constitutional architect must choose where to place the slider. When India's unique social realities were run through this engineering filter, the choice became crystal clear. The presidential model shattered against the realities of India's complex DNA. First, India already had deep historical familiarity with parliamentary operations via the Government of India Act of 1935. Second, its sweeping diversity demanded a framework where dozens of distinct linguistic and religious groups could share power simultaneously. Finally, having just broken free from colonial rule, a deep fear of despotism made a system of constant, daily accountability absolutely non-negotiable. In January 1950, the verdict was officially sealed. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and the framers of the Indian Constitution delivered a clear decree. They chose accountability over stability. They were under no illusions. They understood the parliamentary system's flaws, its messy coalitions, and its potential delays. Yet, they willingly accepted those operational costs as a necessary, worthwhile price to keep autocracy at bay, ensuring that every voice in the world's most diverse nation would always have a seat at the table. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment if you enjoyed this quick revision.